Hey there, I am D. Inception. Another movie written and directed by Christopher Nolan, and starring people such as Leonardo DiCaprio, Jordan Joseph Levitt, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, that kid from Third Rock from the Sun. Okay, he's not a kid anymore by now, but that's besides the point. Anyway, a few minor appearances by Michael Caine, a somewhat... Well, I suppose since he's the main target, that sort of makes him the main antagonist. Played by Cillian Murphy. And of course, Ellen Page. Now, what is this movie about? It's about a group of people who have somehow come into the possession of a machine with which they can enter people's... The idea is that they would somehow search some rich person's mind, looking for information that he or she, but mostly he, would never say out loud, such as access codes to some kind of vault or secret places where they've hidden some important documents. The works. Either that, or they'd plant an idea inside this person's mind, hoping that when they wake up, they might not remember the dream, but they'd at least act upon the idea that was planted inside their minds. Now, it may seem quite complicated, all of it, and in a way it is. I mean, they need to build some kind of environment wherein all the characters can walk around. That's where Paige comes in, by the way, but that aside. And of course, there are times when some of the characters' own subconscious often tend to be projected within those dreams and cause quite a bit of trouble. Now, for some reason, the only real character subconscious that's ever caused any real trouble is that of DiCaprio's character. And that's what felt a little wrong. I mean, why just him? And Cillian Murphy, but because it was his dream they were invading, but still, if any, for some reason, only DiCaprio's subconscious was of any consequence. Not anyone else's might have caused any trouble, no, just DiCaprio's. I don't get it. But anyway, another problem that I had with this movie is that since it's dealing with dreams, shouldn't there have been moments when we, the audience, should be wondering, are they dreaming or is this actually happening? But it had none of that. Okay, there were 2 moments where it did have some of that, but that's it, just moments. Not entire scenes or sequences devoted to that moment, no, to that time where you wonder what's real and what's dream. No, just moments. Brief moments, very brief moments. And of course the fact that Ellen Page in this movie, I have no problem with her being in this movie, no problem at all, but she's supposed to be some student in Paris studying architecture, the best one this particular college could provide, and she just so happens to be North American. And not a French student who just happens to know enough English. That would have made a little bit more sense and had a little bit more credibility. But okay, now it sounds like I'm nitpicking. No, my real problem with this movie is that it didn't really require me to think much. I mean, an earlier movie by the same director, Memento, yeah, I actually had to think while watching it because it was quite complex and there were quite a few confusing moments. You actually had to keep your head at what was going on. In Inception, you don't have that. Now, both deal with the human mind, therefore I thought, or expected, the two would be somewhere among the same lines, equally as complicated, but it wasn't. Inception really didn't require me to think much. And that's what makes this movie quite disappointing. Oh well. At least I can say this and probably answer this one question that most of you have in mind, especially if you've seen some of my earlier reviews. Is this movie at all any better than that last one Nolan made? Yeah, but that's a bit like saying you prefer eating sprouts over eating elephant dung. So, no, Inception is not the worst movie ever made, but I can't really say it's one of the best either. I might put it on my list of recommendations for movies, but it wouldn't be anywhere near the top. Then again, maybe I've set the bar a little too high for this movie. Perhaps I should... Well, now that I know that I shouldn't have set the bar too high, set it a little lower or just remove it altogether and see this movie again, and I might actually enjoy it. And so might you, actually. I mean, especially if you haven't seen Memento, therefore you have no idea whatsoever as to what to expect. You might enjoy this movie a little more than I did. This was D. I'm signing off.